live. I have not been live in about 4 months, so this is very exciting. I think it's been 4 months. It's been a couple months. Tony, I missed you. Oh, that's very sweet. B. Roy and Dingo. Dingo, I thought it was late. It's like 4 a.m. in Swedish town, right? Scotlandville, that side of the earth. Man, look at everybody popping in. It's been literally months. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. A lot has happened. Always remember to stay hydrated, my dudes. Always have your water on hand. It's about damn time. I am very happy to see all of you. This is my first time streaming in my new apartment. I have no idea if the internet, will hold up, but we're going to go ahead and let me just explain what we're going to do here. We're going to read chapter 2 of get out of there, of Growing Around Party Panic, which is, as many of you know, if you clicked on this video, you probably know this book was written by Mr. John Enter himself, who makes YouTube videos. And normally in my videos we would do some commentary throughout, but it's going to be a little different. We're going to read the chapter. I'm going to read it just from start to finish, until chapter 3. And then we'll talk about it afterwards, talk about what's good, what isn't good. This isn't a video just to shit on the book, though I will say this, up to this point, only one chapter in, it's not really impressing me. So that's not great. Do we get a recap? Yeah, let me give you a quick recap before we start. The last chapter introduced our characters. We only got a few characters introduced. We got the main character girl. We got the main character boy or brother, who are both kids, and they live in a world. I know I said I'd do a recap, but I honestly don't remember their names because they're really generic. Timmy, I think, is the boy's name. Straight up can't remember. This book takes place in a world that is run by kids. Kids run everything here. They basically, adults are used for like manual labor, and they go to school, and they're not really, they don't have control. It's all kids. So keep that in mind. That's the world that we live in. All the rules are based around kids. If you go shopping, you can do whatever the fuck you want. It's the currency is trading cards. That's your quick recap. Nothing too exciting. It's a fascist society. that's funny. Timmy and Sally. It's Max, actually. Yeah, it is really hard to tell what the characters' names are because this is a bit of an older draft, I guess. Mr. Enter has changed the names for a couple of these characters a few times, so it is a little difficult to keep track of a bit, so we'll see. Is this a stream where we see Tony confess his love to Chad? I don't know. It's hard to love Chad. It's hard not to love Chad, but it's hard to admit that you love Chad because that's like saying I'd like to breathe because everybody loves him. You know what I mean? You can't really. It's just like it's like gravity. It doesn't need to be said. Tony, did you see the theme song demo yet? I have not, but we will play it at the end of the stream. So let's go ahead. I've gone on for long enough. We've gone on for 3-4 minutes now. Let's actually read the fucking chapter, my dudes. All right, chapter 2 of Growing Around Party Panic. Do you want any help? April asked as the car pulled up to the curb. I shook my head no. This was something I needed to deal with on my own. I stepped out and took a deep breath. With bags in hand, I marched into the front lawn. I struggled to put my smile back on, but there was no way that I could do that now. I had plans for all the awesome things I was going to do tonight, but now I'd be stuck doing some boring child-teacher meeting. I crossed the threshold and almost dropped my bags. A dragon was staring at me intensely. I took another deep breath. It was just a banister. I told Timmy that this would happen if he went with the red dragon. Sure, it was smiling, but it looked like it was only doing that because it was going to eat someone. And to think that Timmy wanted to make it roar whenever the door opened. I had to blow off some steam. I tossed my bags onto the couch, causing it to swing back and forth, and I crashed into the ball pit. I grabbed a nice green one and started tossing them around the room. I hit the television. It bounced off the plate used to protect it, and I won 5 points. I knocked the rocket ship floor lamp onto one of the beanbag chairs. That was another 5 points. I wanted a challenge. I looked to the closet door. My old drawing of a dog was waving back at me. If I could hit its paw, I would get 50 points. I threw the ball, and it hit the ropes holding the couch to the ceiling. It rocked back and forth, and the bag spilled out into the ground. I had lost all of my points. I threw one over the shoulder, and it hit Timmy's poster of an Olympic sling shooter. That was something that I could fix. I reached into the bag and spilled toys and pulled out an Eternity Forever poster. With just a couple pieces of tape, it was now the top of the ever-growing pile. The clock ticked on as I hopped across pieces of furniture. I bounced from the beanbag chair onto the table, and its swivel sent me flying. From there I launched myself up and just barely missed the ceiling monkey bars. I fell to the soft cushion of the floor. Meow, meow, the cat clock read 2 p.m. I shook my head, and the thoughts of everything that I needed to do came flushing back to me. The most important thing was making dinner, but what Linda did weighed heavily on my mind. I pushed the pile of toys into the corner, where they joined last week's collection, and I set off into the kitchen. My eyes twinkled in the bright sun of the skylight. I browsed around the room for jars of peanut butter and buckets of chocolate syrup. What could I make Linda do? I peered around the refrigerator. The old ice down the back of the shirt? Nah. This time she needed something special. The fuzzy zebra head on the wall looking down at me? Maybe I'd dress her up as one and force her to wear it all week. There was the floor trampoline. Perhaps I'd make Linda start using the spiral slide that led to it on the way down and force her to spend the day with any crazy hairstyle that came out of it. No, that wouldn't work either. Giving her hair purple highlights was the only fun thing that she ever did. I didn't want to ruin that. What did I want Linda to do? I sauntered over to the grown-ups chore list. 2 long sheets of paper hung down. There was already a few things written on in fresh blue crayon on Linda's list. Play baseball with Timmy. Race toy cars with Timmy. Test Timmy's newest lemonade masterpiece. Make popcorn for the Ratman Marathon. Watch the Ratman Marathon with Timmy. That wasn't nearly enough. I grabbed my green crayon and got to thinking. I wanted to have a tea party tonight, but if I made Linda go, she probably wouldn't even dress all fancy. That was going to be a Robert chore for this evening. He was involved in this too, so I wrote that down. Right below, play baseball with Timmy. Maybe I'd have her join me, Robert and Timmy, on a kitchen camping trip. She'd be the one to set up the blanket tents with the rest of us roasting marshmallows over the stove. Then again, she'd complain about how much she needed her sleep, and it would just ruin it for everyone else. And after the movie, tonight was a playing astronaut kind of night. I already had goosebumps imagining Robert spinning me around above his head under the stars. This went on until Robert's list was twice as long as Linda's. She was just so boring to play with. A loud horn wailed outside. I dropped the crayon and barreled through the door. I bounced up and down on the porch as a bus came to a stop. My smile reflected in the windows as I read "School Bus" in glittery rainbow letters. It had a new design today, along with painted slime drips that were always on the roof. Heart and star scribbles were dotted along the engine, and blue squiggles were on the sides. One by one, grown-ups stepped off, waved on by the bus driver when she wasn't fastening her braces. I eyed them carefully, looking for telltale signs. When my parents stepped off of the bus, I broke into a sprint. Linda was the first off the bus, and she broke into a larger hurry. Grown-ups could really run if they wanted to. She slipped by me on her way inside, but I noticed that her hair was disheveled with ends splitting. She didn't even have time to close her backpack. Papers were spilling out all over the yard. Without sparing them even a glance, he brushed off her shirt and went inside. Then Robert stepped off the bus. Robbie, you're home," I shouted, hopping up and down. The second that he took the final step off the bus, I leapt up into his arms. "Hiya, Sally. How's it going?" he asked. He looked towards the house for a second before turning back to me. "I've got a lot of homework to do, so..." "But Robbie, the buttercups are starting to bloom. Can't you water them yourself for once in a while?" he asked gently. I got down and put my hands on my hips. "Robbie, it's our garden, and that means we do it together." "Okay, I guess that means that homework can wait a few minutes," he said with a small chuckle. I ran into the backyard, unable to contain the excitement. I had noticed the flowers that morning after my parents went to school. I stopped as I turned to the side of the house as a blur of green caught my eye. It was some of the topiary getting a little out of hand. I picked up the shears and trimmed down the mane of the bush pony and the tail of the giraffe. That last one was really getting out of control. I looked around the garden with pride. Robert and I had been working on this all spring. We started when it was just warming up. I thought it might have been too soon, but Robert said that the time was right. And he does know a thing or two about plants. Last year we grew strawberries that tasted so delicious you didn't even have to dip them in chocolate. Not that I didn't dip them in chocolate anyway. At least I dipped the ones that weren't going to be used for paint. We'd spend hours on every Saturday morning spreading fertilizer all over the yard and digging deep into the ground, getting all nice and dirty. He concocted some mixtures to help the plants grow, and I spread it across the yard. He couldn't do it without me, and I couldn't do it without him. And our hard work was beginning to show off. Little yellow buds poked out into the world. Robert had gotten the water flowering through the hose, or flowing through the hose. I picked it up, but the water dried up not long after I started spraying the crops. I hit the nozzle a few times, but still nothing happened. There must have been some gunk trapped inside. I took a look inside the hose, and then I got a spray of water straight to the face. "Did I get you?" Robert asked, popping his head around the side of the house. "I guess that's your bath for the week." "I'm gonna get you for that," I said, as a grin etched across my face. We spent the next half hour turning our yard into a great water battle. I chased Robert down, and when I got close enough, I gave him a blast right to the back. Of course, he wasn't without tricks. He pulled a squirt gun from his backpack and turned the tides back on me. We ran through the gardens, tackling each other with water. Those are two very different things. The only thing that didn't get wet that day was the plants. "All right, I think that's enough for today. I do have homework to do," Robert said. "Wait," I shouted. "Mud angels." I tumbled backyard into the mud and waved my arms and legs. He simply smiled and said they gave the old grown-up talk that they usually did. He would have to pass, but he'd be in his room if I needed him. I didn't know what he was talking about. This was a perfectly good mud. My parents could be so spoiled sometimes. Didn't they realize that there are some people in the world who don't even have mud? "And she makes it to second base," I said, running around. "She rounds thirds, and she makes it to home plate." I slid on my knees and let the mud drag me to the home plate rock. A gentle breeze picked up, carrying a piece of paper with it. I plucked it out of the wind, eyeing its scribbles. Scribbles turned out to be Linda's name and grade. It was a D- on a report card from a laser tag battle. My attention turned to the other papers fluttering in the wind, but nothing really changed. A finger painting got her an F-. Of course it did. Who paints a nighttime sky without any aliens or cool planets? The grades kept getting lower. I caught a Z- on a food fight report. And that's what it would have been if Linda had even attended. With grades like this, how was Linda going to survive after graduation? What would she even do? I scampered back inside the house, only to be greeted with clanks and clamors from the kitchen. It only took me one guess to figure out what was going on. I snuck up to the kitchen door and saw Linda standing in front of the counter. "Just what do you think you're doing?" I asked. Linda turned around so fast I could see she was smiling, but stopped as soon as she recognized the voice. I tapped my foot and folded my arms, letting her know I wanted an answer. Linda stood there, choked up until I marched across the room. My dinner mixture was still sitting there. I looked for anything that said she might have done to it. Sally," Linda said. "I was just checking to see that what you were making." I stared into Linda's eyes, digging at the truth. Even now she wasn't telling me about the child-teacher meeting. Who knew what else she was hiding from me? Beads of sweat formed on Linda's nose. She gave a nervous chuckle. Then it hit me. She didn't know that I knew about the child-teacher meeting. I smiled, and Linda eased back. "Well, you could have just asked," I said. "That's right. Make it look like everything in the world is all fine." I was making some chocolate chip cake, and we're going to have some cheese fondue on top, potato chips, taffy sticks, and it's all coming with a side of spaghetti. "That, last one sounds alright," Linda said, biting the corner of her lip. "That's because it comes with my super secret ingredient." Boy, was she in for a surprise. I rummaged around the fridge, giggling. I couldn't contain the suspense. I got my hands on the prize and turned around. Linda couldn't even pretend to be excited about the key ingredient. Super double triple chocolate sauce. She groaned. I felt my head starting to steam. "We hadn't eaten a meal that wasn't drenched in chocolate sauce for the past 6 months. Can't we eat something a little fresher?" "Well, maybe. But tonight I thought it would bring some extra food to our child-teacher meeting. And you know those teachers. If they don't get the 4 main food groups of chocolatey, fruity, salty, and cheesy, we'll never hear the end of it." The color drained from Linda's face. Miss Kathy, did she tell you about the child-teacher meeting we're having tonight, right? I asked as I grabbed the mixture and poured it into the cake tin. No, huh? That's pretty rude, don't you think, not telling someone about something so important? Yeah. Color returned to Linda's cheeks. I quirked my brow, shaking my head. She thought that she was getting away with it. Grown-ups always acted like this, like kids would fall for any dumb little lie. I decided then and there that Linda had to learn a lesson. So Miss Kathy isn't going to complain about your grades, right? I know my grades aren't the best, but they're getting better. Okay then, I said, stifling a laugh. The crumpled up finger painting still sat in my pocket. Let's make a deal. When I hear about your super awesome grades from Miss Kathy, we'll eat out tonight. Anything that you want. Even at that new place that only serves vegetables. Linda took a step back, and her breath slowed. I gritted my teeth. Did I go too far? Was she on to me? I've never suggested that we had vegetables for dinner before. After all, I was a responsible kid. I had to follow it up with something to throw off her trail. Then I saw them out of the corner of my eye. But if you're lying, I'll make you eat your roller skates. You never use them anymore, so why not put them to good use? They sat by the wall, covered in crusted mud. I could almost see the smells wafting up from them. Linda was turning green, just staring at them. We were both silent. Linda's eyes didn't drift from the skates while I hoped that she would just tell me the truth. Linda stole herself and nodded, putting her hand forward. She was ready to make this a deal. I grimaced. Nuh-uh, old lady. We make deals like kids in this house. I spat on my hand and offered it. Linda's hand started to shake. Touching someone else's spit was gross, so by doing this, anyone could be sure that the other person was 100% on board. Linda's hand met mine in a gooey mess. I broke into a grin, savoring every moment of this handshake. I could not just wait to see the look on Linda's face with a plate of roller skates in front of her. As soon as the handshake was complete, she hurried out. It was a good thing, too. I could barely contain my anger and disappointment, although seeing her trip over the ball pit made it a little easier. Well, seeing as how we're eating at the Veggie Shack tonight, I'm going to give this cake mix to Charmichael, I said loud enough for Linda to hear. I pulled out my purse and plopped down into this high chair. I fastened his favorite bib, apologizing. He needed to eat quickly today. I dug a spoon into the mixing bowl. The concoction smudged onto his face and dribbled down onto his bib, as if he wasn't eating any of it. I sniffed the spoon. Something smelled off. I was about to just lick the spoon myself, but a jar of carrots rolled out from under the counter. Gross! I spat. I kicked the can away, cringing. I could smell the awful odor of carrot. What kind of crazy kid would invent a food that tastes as horrible as carrots? They were going to be for dessert one night, but instead they ended up ruining tonight's dinner. Linda should have told me that carrots were in the mixture. She knew that Charmichael was allergic to them. Now he'll keep me up all night complaining about a stomach ache. I tossed the rest of it into the trash, grumbling. Timmy was getting his work cut out. Timmy would be getting out of work rather soon. It was time to get the grown-ups into the car. Stop the chameleon abuse. Stop that Charmichael abuse. Wait, why the heck did kids invent carrots? You know, it's one of the problems with growing around, which is there's a lot of things here that have been invented by adults in our world, but they seemingly have also been invented by children in this world. But you would think that kids wouldn't invent these things. Also, how do you invent a vegetable is a very good question, Skulls. Very, very good question. First live stream. Hello, welcome. Welcome. Tony, Enter showed his face in recent videos and he looks like an elderly crackhead. Now, Joe. I'm not here to make fun of Mr. Enter. I'm here to legitimately and for realsies critique his book chapter by chapter because I think that's a fair thing to do. You know, there's tons of people who shit on him, you know, some rightfully so, some of them twice as fucking bad as they say he is. But you invent a vegetable by breeding it for generations until it's edible. And do you think kids would have the patience to breed a carrot for generations? Absolutely not. Abso-fucking-lutely not. Unless it was Kidler. But let's for realsies, let's actually talk about this chapter. legitimately, I thought it was better than the last chapter. It was a lot shorter. It was a lot shorter of a chapter. I thought it was better than the last one. Not gonna lie. Enter likes to cry when people make fun of him. So I will say this. I will say that the chapter was a lot shorter than the other one. I thought it was a little easier to digest because of that. I thought it was better written, if that, but not for the whole thing. The first couple of pages of it were really, really bad. They were actually worse than the other chapter. He's not very good at describing locations in a way that makes sense, and I think that might have to be because he seems to be a very visual person, right? Mr. Enter reviews animations and movies and, you know, cartoons and shit like that, right? Daddy Tony, love me. I love all of my children who are here to watch my videos. Pride logo for Pride Month. Oh, I didn't even realize I put the fucking Pride rainbow shit up. Because it just cycles. My little animations just cycle between the 3 or 4 of them that I have. But I think because he's so hyper focused on reviewing animations, because that's his job, I don't think he, even I get love, yeah, you too. I don't think he quite understands how to describe them through words, because he's just so used to being able to see them. So he's just really not good at describing location, which is what made the first third of this chapter particularly bad. Very painful, because he talks about all these things, that there's ball pits and bean bags and things hanging from the ceiling, and like, I get the idea. Tony, are you still single? No, my friend, sorry, not no more. But you know, I get the idea, right? It's supposed to be a home that is like all fucked up because kids run it. That's why there's like shit hanging from the ceiling and like ball pits and stuff. But I don't understand like spatially where anything is. That's the problem. I don't know where the kitchen is in relation to the bedroom. I have no idea where anything is located, and it's just really it's hard to understand. Tony lives, stomp stomp, like King in the North. When was the last time you streamed, Tony? It feels like forever. It was very, very long time ago, literal months ago. I've been a busy boy. I've been a very, very busy boy. His recent art has a lot of boys wearing dresses and girls wearing very revealing outfits. Is he drawing more growing around stuff? Because if he's drawing these child characters and revealing outfits, that's a little weird. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Oh, goodness. Why is he making this a story now? I don't know. Writing a book and writing the script of a cartoon are very different. Yes, you are correct, Lord of Lemons. He says nothing by saying a lot. Yes, you are very correct. It's interesting because he simultaneously says a lot of things without really saying anything, but at the same time the story is moving very, very quickly. I mean, I will say this is important. Like when you're reading a book, right? A chapter is supposed to get you from point A to point B. Like every chapter should have some sort of thing that is completed. Like something should be happening in every chapter, because if nothing is happening in the chapter, that means that chapter is not important. And if we go off of that, at least that's how I think chapters should be. This is just fine. I mean, stuff is happening. Like originally, she was at the movie theater. Like in the last chapter, she finished her movie. She went shopping. She went home. You know, that's a lot of stuff moving. You know, she learned about the parent-teacher meeting. A lot of stuff happened. And then going past that, we have this chapter where she goes home. She's cooking dinner. Her kids get back. We're introduced to the kids. You know, there's a lot going on. Can we have some music? Yes, we can have some music. It's tough. I don't know what music is acceptable and is not acceptable. Some people like when I play music. Some people don't like when I play music in the background. Oh no, my soundtrack of Animal Crossing music is gone. Let's hope my thing of Divinity music is still working. No, please don't play music through my headphones. Thank you. That's not what I want. I don't know what a good volume is. I haven't streamed in a while, so I'm not quite sure what's acceptable. if it's too loud or too quiet. Damn, I'll have to. Don't worry, I'll get us another Animal Crossing soundtrack. Play some. No, I want to play something that's not very intrusive. We need some non-intrusive music to have a discussion here. You just don't get it, Tony. He reviews media and he knows what people really want in a story. Just look at Linkari. Just look at Linkara and Spoonie and Nostalgia Critic. God damn it, Freezer. This sounds fine. Okay, cool. I'm playing Animal Crossing right now. You know, I just want Animal Crossing for the Switch right now. Play Doom music. Oh my goodness. Too fantasy, lol. Oh, I'm sorry. Fantasy music is generally good to play in the background because it's nice and unobtrusive. You know what I mean? Plus, that's all I listen to, really. So you're shit out of luck. I mean, except for like Animal Crossing. Play Jorna's Muda and repeat for the rest of the stream. I'll just play that one, that one song where they say alright, 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 but I'll just play the alright forever. Mr. Enter is so rude to people trying to help him. He thinks everyone is against him. He insulted me and said I tried to ruin his project when I offered to help him with his Growing Around comics. That's really upsetting. I'm sorry to hear. Super invasive music. Oh my goodly goodness. Okay. I've said my piece. I've said my piece here. I think that this chapter is better than the last one. I think that he seems to do better when the chapters are shorter. The story is progressing. There is a story. I can say that there is a fucking story. Alright? There's something happening. How many chapters are there? I don't actually know. I have no idea how many chapters are actually in this book. Oh, we're actually pretty far into it. We're 20% in. So there can't be that many chapters. Music is too loud. Okay. Yeah, the music changes, so let me turn that down. Thank you, my dude. I'm just gonna, you know what I'll do? I'll just cut ahead to somewhere else. Excuse me. What do you think Mr. Enter would do if he decided to turn Growing Around story into a dystopian story? It'd be better. It'd be a lot better. It would honestly be a lot better. This music is giving me Destiny vibes. Oof. So I've already gone ahead and said my piece. So I'll let you guys comment on it, and then I'll talk with you guys about it. 20% in. Well, I didn't think he wrote that little, but it's good. It's a meaningful or merciful amount. Romina says yes. Yeah, I couldn't imagine if this went on like. It's only 163 pages. I could not imagine, we're 31 pages in. I couldn't imagine if this was like 500 pages, How about the theme song? Oh yeah, we do have to play the theme song. I want to talk about the book first, and then we'll play the theme song. How does social media work? Do they have like Twitter or something? I don't think they've talked about social media at all. Which is interesting, because this was written recently. You would think like it would involve social media, because that's what kids do all day. But I guess not. Kid Twitter, kidder. The environment is already depressing, to be honest. To make it a dystopia would just add depression to the desperation. Or to the depression. I mean, it would at least make it interesting. It would at least have the story be a little more, I don't know, but fitting for the world that he's created here. What is your opinion on the roller skate scene of Chapter 2? That's a good question. I think the roller skate scene is one of those things when you read about this book, like if you read a review or you read the comments people make about it, they always bring up, because most people only read like the first couple pages, and they'll get to the rollerblade scene. And most people will talk about it because it's really fucked up, because you have to imagine that this child is actually going to feed the roller skates to her. But at the same time, you have people who say, no, it's a joke, right? It's supposed to be a joke because the kid is like making her do outlandish things, and that's just a joke, right? I don't think it's a joke, though. I really don't think it's a joke, because at the same time, kids don't really get jokes, and they don't really get things like pain tolerance or like what is an acceptable punishment, right? If a child has the ability to punish someone, and they can do any punishment they want, if a child wants somebody to eat roller skates, they will make them eat the roller skates. Children are fucked. I mean, that, children have not gotten to the point, development-wise, where they can understand that, like, other people are in, like, huge amounts of pain if you were to do something like feed them roller skates. I mean, they're eating cake every single day. Do you honestly think that she wouldn't make her daughter eat this fucking roller skate? Of course she's gonna do it. And that makes it really fucked up. I have to agree on the side of people who say it's fucked up. Excuse me. Hello, I'm new here. Well, welcome, my dude. Do they have nuclear power in this world? I mean, I will say something. Questions like that, like whether or not they have nuclear power or guns or something like that, this is a book that is written for children, okay? This is a book that is directed towards kids, not me. I turned 24 years old today. Today is my birthday. I don't think I'm the target audience. I know I'm not, in fact. I know that this is for kids. But, so questions that are like, do they have this are maybe a little much, but I will piggyback off of your question, because at its core your question is, how do they have their power? And I think that's a pretty good question, because if this world doesn't, like, even kids next door fucking answered that question. The kids power all of their tools through hamsters. They run on the wheels and they generate electricity, and that makes them power. And I think that's important. It's an important thing to, like, understand the world building. So if they don't have nuclear power, they better have something. You know what I mean? Have you spoken about the kids being gay in this story? No. Are there gay kids? There's probably going to be a bunch of gay kids. No, we've only been introduced to like 4 kids, besides like background children that are never going to be in the story again. None of them have like announced loudly that they're gay, so I don't know if they are. Boy, do I love water. Do you think Enter has issues? Because Chapter 2 gave me some weird vibes. What do you mean? What do you mean by weird? I didn't think it was strange. I didn't think it was, like, crazy. I didn't think it was that strange at all, to be honest. Kid Islam. Happy birthday, Tony, you dingus. Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday, Tony.
Thank you, Dingo. I really appreciate it. I had a great birthday today, in case anybody is wondering. Today, it was my birthday, as I mentioned, and I went out to dinner, and I built a shelf from IKEA for my anime figures, and my partner asked me, they said, Tony, you haven't streamed in a long time, and you said you wanted to last week, but you didn't get the chance because, you were busy. You should do it today because it's your birthday. It'll be a nice thing to do that'll really, make you feel good. And I was like, you know what, you're right. That does make me feel good, so I'm going to do it. So you can thank my lovely partner for our wonderful Growing Around stream today. So May 31st is your birthday. No, June 1st is my birthday. You must be in a different time zone. No, June 1st is my birthday. So this is a weird revenge fantasy. Because kids totally know what their sexual orientation is. Yeah, I mean, kids don't really know that when they're like, 7. Tony, would you ever take calls? What does that mean? Like, am I gonna do a live stream where I answer one of those call apps where I get called by Boss Baby? What does that mean? Thanks, Tony's partner. Happy day of birth. Thank you. They're here. They can, they're reading your comments while I discuss here. They're very happy to be thanked. Tony, do you blame Ava for the inclusion of gay characters in Growing Around? A little bit, yeah. Ava's a little much. Like when people on Discord stream a bit, or, geez, I'm an idiot. When people on Discord talk on stream a bit, that's an interesting question. I've always been a little hesitant to allow people onto my live stream to talk with me. Besides my very, very close friends, and even then, I don't allow everyone in there. There are friends that I don't allow on. I'm very. Who is Ava? Oh, I'll tell you in a second. I'm very hesitant to allow people on my stream. If I was to do a stream where I let people talk, it would probably be, I don't know, something a little more casual, like a podcast of some sort. Not if I was playing a video game or like reading a book or drawing something. It would probably be something that was focused around it. But, you know, maybe. I'm not completely adverse to the idea. You could always do prank calls like Southern Poverty Call Center used to do. Okay, so Ava is one of the artists on Growing Around. She was very heavily involved in Growing Around. She still is, and she was a big part of the campaign at the time when it was on Indiegogo, and she was in Mr. Enter's live streams where he, talked about Growing Around. I say talked with air quotes, and when that was happening, when Growing Around's Indiegogo was actively happening, me and my partner would do a lot of sleuthing to figure out, what is Growing Around, who has been working on it, what the fuck is going on. Happy birthday, Tony. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Jake. That's very sweet of you. Also, they changed the colors for getting tips, because I remember it being a lot more yellow. They changed it to orange, which, I mean, is fine. That's okay with me. So, Tony's Matrix code is showing he isn't real. He's actually a JoJo stand. Yeah, dude. I'm actually just Sekko, but not like actually Sekko. I'm Sekko's cheeks. I bring that up because if you look at Sekko in the recent JoJo anime, his cheeks are fucking big, my dude. They're bigger than the world's cheeks, and the world's cheeks were huge. Anyway, so Ava was an artist on Growing Around, and when we were doing some sleuthing, we got her whole backstory, because she's very active, like, on social media and stuff, and she is she's a little bit of a social justice warrior, and there are points in the live stream where people will ask questions like, Mr. Enter, they're going to be gay characters in the show, and Ava will answer for him. She'll say, Oh, of course there's going to be gay characters. We're not making anything. I'm not involved. If there's not gay characters, there's going to be gay, trans, this, that. So she's very pushy with those sorts of things. And listen, if you want to have gay characters, that's fine. You want to have black, white, gay, Asians, trans, you want to have all those gay, that's fine, okay? But they need to be reasonable, right? There's not as many gay people as Twitter, or not Twitter, Tumblr would have you believe. And there's certainly not as many trans people as Tumblr would have you believe, okay? There doesn't need to be a bajillion fucking things in there. Just relax. People like Ava need to relax, and she'll negatively impact any sort of art that she works on if that's what she's focused on. If she's more focused on diversity and putting on, checking lists of how many genders and races we can put in there, the work is going to suffer. That's what I think. Oh, goodness, water is so good. You could make a first come, first serve list, but I get it. It can be a bit crazy. Tony, if you could recommend something to Mr. Enter, what would it be? That's a great question. I'm trying to keep up with the questions. Tony, will you ever stream Smash Bros. Open Arenas? I would... Let me answer both of those questions. If I could suggest anything to Mr. Enter, I would tell him that he needs to look at books. Okay. I'm gonna be very broad and very vague. If I could give Mr. Enter any sort of advice when it comes to writing a book, it's that he needs to write this book as if we cannot read his mind. Because to me, it seems very much like he wrote this book out, and he can see very clearly in his head what he wants us to see, but he's not quite describing it in a way that is understandable, Like, I can see that he has ideas and that he wants to convey things. Like that house, how it's a disjointed mess of, like, it's something a kid would design. It makes no fucking sense, right? But it needs to make sense to me. I'm the reader. I need to understand what I'm reading. The world that he describes is very hard to visualize because it just makes no sense. And this sort of wacky, outlandish world works in animation, but it's very hard to convey in, like, a novel. And I think he needs to really approach it understanding that we can't read his mind and that he really needs to, convey his visualizations in text a lot better. That's what I would say. Tony, will I ever stream Smash Bros? I actually am really, really bad at Smash Brothers. I'm not gonna lie. I really like Super Smash Brothers. I think it's great. But no matter how much I practice, no matter how much I try to get better, if I watch guides, if I sit there and play online all day, if I try to adjust my play style, there's nothing I can do. I never get better. I'm actually really bad at the game. I'm not even trying to shit on myself or be humble. I'm really not. I am so below average that I am just I would classify myself as bad. So it's really hard for me to have a good time. I don't have to win at a video game to have fun, okay? But when I'm playing Smash Brothers and I play for 3 hours and I play match after match after match after match and I lose all but 2 of them and I win those 2 because somebody else makes a mistake, not because I outskilled them, it's really, really sad, It really brings you down. So I actually haven't played Smash Bros. Since Joker came out because I just had such a bad time. There was a night where I played for 8 hours straight, and I didn't win a single match, and that was the last time I played Smash Bros. If I streamed it, I don't know if I would have a good time. And if I'm not having a good time in a stream, I don't think you guys are gonna have a good time. I swear, people who freak out about gay representation that much are harboring a fetish for trans or gay people, and they're just and they're just trying to get wokeness points. Yes, no. Those people are usually doing it so that they can get wokeness points. That's generally what it is. They don't actually care. They don't actually care about all these fucking politics, this life politics. They don't care about that. They just want points. I'm officially out of water. Sad boys. If Max and Sally are siblings, that means that there is 2 siblings always, where there only ever be... Yeah, this world doesn't make sense, because if you don't have 2 kids, it's weird, and if you have more than 2 kids, it's weird. If you have less than 2 kids, it's weird, because the whole, mom and dad dynamic doesn't really work. It's very strange. He's keeping Ava because she's an artist. Oh yeah, he's keeping Ava because of 2 reasons. Number 1, she's an artist who's doing all this work for him, and number 2, she'll bend the knee. She loves growing around, and she'll do anything he tells her. He's not going to question her. She's never going to say, I don't think that's a good idea. And Mr. Enter really doesn't like people who question him. I watched all of his live streams for growing around from start to finish more than once, for some of them, not all of them. And I could really tell he really does not like the concept of other people sort of having free will. That makes him a little upset. I wanted to include a gay character in my story, but because of Ava, I don't anymore. If you're going to include a gay character in your story, that's just fine. But you have to understand, if you're writing a gay character, there's really no different from writing a straight character, right? Just write a normal fucking character, and if they just so happen to be gay in the story, just make it be organic. It doesn't need to be their character trait, okay? It should just be a thing that they are, like having red hair or being, being black, and it should never really come up ever, because it should just be a natural thing, okay? Do you think Mr. Enter has an editor? For his videos, he does have an editor, yes. He actually had an old editor, and I think maybe they quit because people were harassing them, which is unfair, by the way. I understand not liking Mr. Enter, but please don't harass the people in his life. I'm not 100% sure on that other editor quitting for that reason, but I vaguely remember that being a thing. But I do know he has a new editor recently. Please don't harass them. I'm not making a stream like this so that you guys can get dirt on Mr. Enter and his little gang of merry men, all right? Don't go out there and harass Ava. Don't go out there and harass his editor. It's not a nice thing to do. I will say this. I think Ava's annoying as fuck, and having her on the live stream was a bad decision because she can't keep her goddamn mouth shut, and she's really, really, really obnoxious. Maybe have her on one live stream and then never again. But still, don't harass her, please. Don't harass these people. What I don't understand is how the parents have the kids, but the kids are in control. How do they do that? It doesn't make any sense, because these kids have to be raised up to a certain point, but apparently they're just always in charge, even if they're babies. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay? It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Tony, did you know that Mr. Enter is having a GA crossover with Ava's own series? I would believe that. I would believe that. I don't know if Ava's seeing anybody, but I really would not be surprised if she wants to go out with him, because the way that she talks around him, it really seems like she wants to. But that's just me. Tony X water. Oh yeah, dude. You know what my best feeling is? You know when you drink a bunch of water and like you drink it too fast and you drink it too hard, so it starts to dribble down your face, and like, but you don't stop it. Like you just keep drinking water until you finish the water, and you just like keep letting that water dribble down your side. That's what I love, because that in that moment in time, you're just a slut for water and you just fucking love it. And that's me. That's me drinking water, my dude. I get what you're saying. Mr. Enter misinterprets that what he can visualize isn't always able to be visualized in written form, and he needs more descriptors. Yes, he does. Yeah. He's a Tony get good. Oh my goodness. Whatever happened to that one person who was crying in stream? Who? Who cried in stream? In Mr. Enter stream? I don't remember that happening. If he's done more streams since, like I only watched his live streams when they were during his Indiegogo campaign. The whole idea of kids being in charge of adults just doesn't work. There was a reason why the old short he stole the idea from didn't work. Yeah, Ava cried. Maybe I did see that and I just forgot. Guys, it's been literal like months. It's been like half a year since Mr. Enter's Indiegogo, and I have not been keeping up with him. Like after the Indiegogo ended, and you know some of the aftermath of it passed, you know I haven't kept up. I've been very busy. I haven't had enough time to stream, you know, let alone keep up with Mr. Enter. When they were playing The Sims, oh yeah, I definitely didn't see that if it was them playing The Sims. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and turn off the music and listen to the Growing Around theme song. Now I'm actually going to plug in my headphones, and I've never listened to this song before, so this is going to be something. So let me go ahead and plug in my headphones, and I will pop it up on the screen, because it does come with video. I do know that it has like just some screenshots of the show or whatever, and we'll go ahead and listen to it together. Just give me 2 seconds here to set up, and we will get started, and I will plop that up on the screen for you guys, and we're just going to listen to this, and then we'll end the stream. We'll go ahead and end the stream. So let's listen to the theme song for Growing Around.
Hey, it's time to play today in a town called Summerwood, where kids make the rules, where their parents go to school, where the sun never sets on our life. There's so much to do right here in our little town. Come with me, buy yourself a new pony. A house is a castle, and you wear the crown. And maybe if you're in the mood, know all of our rights, our food. So come join in a race or two, or just do whatever you want to. Where down is up and up is down, 'cause in this world we're all growing around.
Oh wow. Wowzers. All right. Listen, I'm not a music critic. I'm not a very musical guy. Oh, is there more? There's a few seconds. Hold on. Okay, it's just the credits. It's just the credits. Oh, geez. The singer is bad, but the instrumental is okay. The instrumental is painfully generic, but for a kid's show like this, I would expect it to be that level of generic. Oh, Jesus. I'm not a musical guy. I don't know shit. Can we look at some of that art? Yeah, I'll pop that up on slow-mo with no fucking audio. Thank you very much. So that you guys can sort of look at the art if you want. And we'll put that on slow for now. Yeah, there we go. It's Enter wrote the lyrics, yeah, and he obviously didn't sing it. It's okay. So the singer is not good. She has no idea how to hit notes, how to have the correct inflection. Just everything is wrong. Everything is really, really wrong with what's going on here. It's really a mess. But I'm not gonna harp on her all that much, because it is a demo. Maybe she could get better. But what can't get better is these lyrics, my guy. Oh, they're really bad. Oh my God, the lyrics are really, really not good. Oh, you can really tell that he wrote the lyrics. Yeah, you can. You can, The Blank King. You really, really can. It has his writing all over it, and that it makes no sense and is no thought out at all. Yeah, it's really not good. Um, the art is kind of good. I mean, he's using old art. Funny enough, this art that you're looking at is not the current art for Growing Around. Not all of it. Some of it is like older art that he had a different artist do. So that's why some of it is actually pretty good, and some of them is not. Tony, how do you feel about Pokemon Sword and Shield? I actually don't know much about it. I haven't been keeping up with Pokemon since the Sun and Moon debacle because I had such a poopy time playing Sun and Moon that I haven't been keeping up with like mainline Pokemon games. Um, but seriously, the whole intro is just a slideshow of almost every concept art we've already seen. I mean, to be fair, this is listed as a demo, okay? And he has no real animation to show besides the opening, like, couple frames that we've seen. I don't expect this. This is supposed to be about the music. I'm not expecting there to be any sort of actual intro here. It's listed as theme song. I don't expect there to be anything besides this art, okay? That I don't think is horrible. I'm actually going to loop that. I don't have a problem with that. But it would be cool if he could get maybe some new art. That would be rad. It hurt my head. Am I overreacting? No, it was bad. Their microphone wasn't great either, which is probably one of the things that added to the fact that her voice cracks a lot and it really hurts your ears. Can we listen to the DK Country intro to Cleanse of this? Oh, goodness. I fucking love Donkey Kong Country. Let me actually turn on that Divinity music again so we actually have something in the background. Wow. It's really generic. It's really bad. It reminds me of just like a show in the 90s that would only have like 10 episodes and then be canceled because it's just like a lot of describing things that are happening in the show, but like I couldn't even imagine like what visuals we would have with this, you know? I feel like they'd be really bad too. Can we see that photo shoot pic at the end of the song? Oh, don't worry. We're just looping, so it'll go back there. You'll see. I'm a native English speaker, and at the end I had no idea what she was saying either. Yeah, you kind of stop understanding what she's saying about, like, 11 seconds in until, like, the end when she says growing around. It's really kind of hard to understand her. She's speaking way too fast. She's not speaking clearly. It's not good. It's really not good. I always miss your streams. Oh, thank you, Jesus. I appreciate it. I'm glad to know that the Son of our Lord is here watching my shit. Tony, did you know that ever since Mr. Enter released the first GA trailer, he's been stagnant in subgrowth? Really? That's interesting. I would believe that. No, Mr. Enter has been stagnating in growth. I have heard that before. But he's always kind of been like that. He's not the kind of guy who's going to have 1 million subscribers. Not because I'm not saying because he's bad or because he's, you know, it's because the sort of thing that he does is not something that gets you 1 million zillion subscribers. You know, he's not producing 2-minute short skits. You know, that sort of thing will get you tons of subscribers. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. You know, there is a certain point where Mr. Enter will just not get subscribers anymore, and it has nothing to do with his quality. It will have everything to do with the type of YouTuber that he is, which is, you know, I understand that that's sort of the same thing with me. You know, even if I was the best fucking, like, streamer in the world, I understand that the type of stuff that I do really is not great. Sorry. I was handed a note about the song. It says, there's a line about the sun never setting on the art of moon. What does that even mean? What does that mean, my dude? Oh. What the fuck? Also, why would we focus on the kids on Earth when there's a fucking colony in space? You know what? The story would be way better if it was just about the kids on space. That would make a lot of sense. You take the moon and you take the sun. You take everything that looks like fun. Jesus Christ. The sun never sets on our fun. Oh. Sun never sets and you take the sun and you take the moon and you... Jesus Christ. This is This second chapter, all right, finishing notes. The second chapter was better than the first one, but I really don't think this book is worth reading so far. I paid like $5 or $10 for this. I don't remember. I paid money for this book, okay, and I wouldn't price it any higher so far, more than $2-3 max. I would not pay more than $2 or $3 for this book, and I bought it digital, which means I bought it cheaper, okay, than having a physical copy. I would not pay more than $3 for a physical copy of this. Will you stream more often? That's a good question. I will end the stream on that. I will try to stream more often. My plan is that I'm going to try to work out a schedule where I can stream on the weekends, at least one day of the weekend, maybe Saturdays or Sundays. You know, I haven't decided yet. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm really trying. You know, it's very hard. I'm at a point in my life right now where I'm working really hard. I got a lot going on, but I'm gonna shoot for weekends. Probably Sundays. That'll probably be what it is. So I hope you guys had a good time. It's, you know, I haven't streamed in quite a long time. I know that my last like 20 streams, I say that every fucking stream because I just don't have the time to do it since moving to New York now. But I'm in a new apartment. You know, my job's going great. Things are just good right now. And for a split second, you saw my fucking Jotaro background. I actually have like a bajillion JoJo backgrounds that just cycle. Oh no, you guys saw my my Gappy background. I have a lot of backgrounds. Anyway, I hope you guys had a good time. I'll see you on the next stream. Have a great rest of your night.